All right, hey guys, welcome to the presentation. This is going to be for the foresight of steroids and hormone drug use in animals in our society today. My name is Brian Phelps.
And I'm Audrey Mays, and we are Group 2 from Animals and Society class. First off, we are going to begin with a history of hormone and steroid drugs. Since the 1950s, the Food and Drug Administration has approved a number of steroid hormone drugs for the use in beef cattle and sheep, including natural estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and their synthetic versions. The drugs increase the animal's growth rate, as well as the efficiency by which they convert the feed they eat into meat. The first hormone implant for steers was approved by the FDA in 1956. There are more than 400 studies on the commercial use of growth-promoting implants on record. The studies have proven that implants are safe for the food chain. The ethical aspect. The use of steroid and hormone drugs in animals is an ethical practice for a variety of reasons. First, drugs are only approved by the FDA after information and studies have proven that food from the treated animals is safe for people to eat and that the drugs do not harm the treated animal or environment. Second, the drugs have to be effective, which means that the drugs have to work as intended. Third, no steroid hormone implants are approved for growth purposes in dairy cows, veal, pigs, or poultry. Next, cultural and sociological importance. The information on the use of steroid and hormone drugs is provided to the public, leaving no questions or concerns unanswered. For each product approved, the FDA makes information available to the public on their website. The information includes a summary of the information and research that was used in concluding that the drug was safe and effective. Safe for the treated animal, has safe animal products, which would be the tissues such as meat, that the humans consume, and that the drug is effective. The labeling on each product provides all instruction for safe and effective use that is approved by the FDA. Here is an example of a drug from Elanco called Encore. Encore is an estradiol implant that is for an increased rate of weight gain in suckling and pastured growing steers, as well as for improved feed efficiency and increased rate of weight gain in confined steers and heifers. Encore is implanted in suckling steers at castration or later, in pastured growing steers at weaning or later, and in finishing steers and heifers at arrival to the feedlot. Current events. In a recent article from Best Food Facts from 2015, a question that asked, "Why is the United States the only country to allow hormones in food production?" was answered, stating that it is not. The concern was then, why is it banned in some countries and not others? Dr. Daniel Thomason, MS, PhD, DVM, Jones Professor of Production Medicine and Epidemiology at Kansas State University, was consulted, and he stated that there is no science behind why a country shouldn't take advantage of the technology of steroid hormones. The ultimate conclusion of the article is that steroid hormones have a positive effect on all aspects related to the beef industry, humans, and the environment. Current events continued. Quick facts from Elanco. Elanco is a worldwide company dedicated since 1954, working to empower veterinarians, food producers, and all those concerned with animal health with tools needed to help animals live healthy lives. Elanco's product Encore is a current product that they sell that is a growth-promoting hormone implant containing estradiol. It is ideal for extended grazing and/or feeding periods. A study showed one dose lasts the entire feeding period, which may be up to 400 days. Encore improves weight gain and feed efficiency. We are for steroids and hormones. Since the 1950s, 3 naturally occurring hormones and their synthetic versions have been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. First, estradiol and its synthetic version Zeranol. Second, testosterone and its synthetic version Trenbolone. And third, progesterone and its synthetic version acetate. These hormones are necessary for development, growth, and reproduction. People are not at risk eating food from animals treated with these drugs because the additional amount of hormone added from the drug is so small compared to what is naturally produced in humans. How hormones are measured. Hormones are measured in nanograms. A nanogram is 1/1000th of a gram. This is equivalent to 1 blade of grass in 2 football fields. Estrogen, which is a hormone, is naturally produced in humans, animals, and plants, verifying that it cannot be blamed on the beef industry for causing harm to humans. Humans produce several thousand times more estrogen than what is produced by hormone implants. For example, an adult man produces 136,000 nanograms a day, and an adult woman produces 513,000 nanograms a day. These are levels of hormones in food. They are all in 3-ounce measurements, and the first one is 3 ounces of beef from a non-implanted steer, which contains 1.3 nanograms. The second is 3 ounces of beef from an implanted steer containing 1.9 nanograms, only a 0.7 nanogram difference. 3 ounces of potatoes contains 225 nanograms. 3 ounces of cabbage contains 2,000 nanograms. And 3 ounces of soy milk contains 11,250 nanograms. Here's another image showing the amounts of hormones in foods and humans. Soy flour is at the top with an extremely high amount of estrogen, which is probably very shocking to those who are against growth-promoting implants in animals. Beef is at the bottom with the lowest amount of hormones. A common concern from consumers is the question if hormones in beef cattle relate to cancer and early puberty in children. But studies have shown that exposure to high levels of hormones through implanted beef has never been implicated in early puberty for girls.
Now we're going to go on to why beef producers use hormone implants. Some quick background information on beef producers in the beef industry. The cattle spend most of their life on grass, but when they get close to their slaughter date, they're finished on in a feeding operation where they can get their grains, forages, and nutrient supplements, which make the product that they will be producing after being slaughtered really good for us to eat. A majority of the cattle raised here in the United States are grain finished for the last 120 to 200 days prior to their slaughter date. And the beef consumers traditionally prefer tender beef of a young steer and heifer, which means that the lifespan of a young steer would be very small and minimal compared to because we're going to be using them for consumption, because we're not going to be using those older steers that are out there. Since consumers prefer young, tender beef, beef producers have to be efficient in raising their cattle to the full potential. This is where we use hormone implants and why and how they come into play. All right, here's a little diagram showing. If we look on our left, we see how there's only one cow. Without the beta agonist, there's about 3.5 million cattle that are required to maintain the beef production without technology. Without any implants, it takes about 9.9 million steers. And then without either technology at all, it takes about 15 million. You can see it's very crazy. With those implants, it takes nearly 5 times less than it would be with either of the technologies that can be used. And with the implants, with the implants, it takes about a third away from how it would be without the implants as well. So as we can see just in this diagram, hormone implants are really, really useful and beneficial to the beef industry. All right, now we're going to talk about why they're needed. Hormone implants are definitely needed because most bulls or male cattle are neutered as calves and become steers. The bulls produce natural male hormones that can cause them to grow faster, produce more muscle, more protein, and deposit less fat. And with them being neutered, they no longer have those hormones that are able to help them acquire those kinds of things. So providing steers with small amounts of hormone allows the steer to gain back some of the growth rate that a normal bull would, especially at their age. Older heifers are able to produce a greater amount of hormones than younger heifers. Therefore, the small amount of hormones that's given to the young heifers, it'll help them have that growth of an older heifer at such a young age, which gets them ready to be slaughtered a lot sooner. What are growth implants and how are they given? Hormone implants are typically given to the cattle in the form of a small pellet placed under the skin in their ear. The pellets are comparable to the size of like an Advil tablet, so it's nothing very big, very small, very minor, and I'm sure they probably won't even notice it because of how small it is. The reason the ear is used as a place of administration is because the ears don't really enter the food supply, so there's no need to worry about these animals getting sick off of their hormone implants. They're not going to be digesting it. It's not going to go to their food system. It's going to be perfectly fine. They'll be able to stay healthy. The implants dissolve slowly over about 100 to 120 days, and the cattle will receive about 1 to 2 different implants during that phase. implant is used, the age and sex of the animal, the growth rate will improve by about 10 to 20%, and that all differs based on those things mentioned above. Plus, it'll decrease the cost of the beef production by about 5 to 10%, which is very beneficial as well. How hormone implants work? The implants work by changing what happens to the nutrients that the cattle consume. Muscle growth is enhanced at the expense of the fat deposition. Therefore, since muscle is more efficient for the animal to produce compared to fat, the animal grows faster while eating less food, which is very cost efficient as well. Growth promoting hormones are a must. And here's why. Hormone implants are important in so many ways for multiple reasons. And we're going to break them down. The first three, the main three, are going to be they benefit the beef producers, they're beneficial to the environment, and they benefit the consumers. Now we're going to go into detail of how they help the beef producers. They help them because of the growth promoting implants for the cattle give the largest return on investment of any technology available today for beef producers. And the steroid hormones used in the beef cattle improve the feed efficiency and growth rates by about 15 to 20% during their finishing phase, which is about the last 150 days prior to their slaughter date. All right, continuing with that, we also have the hormone implants, why they benefit the environment. That's because the feed efficiency does not only benefit the feed of the beef producer, it benefits the environment too. It allows for improved feed efficiency, reduces the carbon footprint that's already left behind with beef production, so it's going to minimize that carbon footprint, and it's more efficient beef production. It also requires less feed and land resources for these animals to stay alive. The hormone implants benefit us as consumers because studies show that lower the cost for the beef producers are passed down to the consumer. Consumers who produce organic, naturally produced beef will pay a premium, which is going to be very more expensive. The growth hormones allow beef producers to raise cattle more efficiently with reduced costs passed on to the consumer. And as Dr. Thompson says, the steroid implants have no effect on beef quality, which is good for the producer, consumer, and animal. More importantly, the meat is safe, and there are strict guidelines and regulations in place ensuring that no animals are harmed. The very last few details and facts that we want to have you guys understand is that animals raised without hormones is no different than meat raised from animals with the hormone implants. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and the Journal of Clinical Nutrition have all stated that the beef from an organic and natural beef producer is not safer, more nutritious, more wholesome, or different in appearance than a cattle from a beef producer that administered growth promoting hormones. So definitely eat beef.
Okay, so here's our references that we used, and as we come to an end, we would just like to say that you should support the beef industry and don't listen to the myths that you hear about the beef industry saying that growth promoting hormones are bad, because in every way it's been proven that they are definitely safe and effective, and beef producers revolve their life around raising beef and depending on consumers to buy the beef, so they wouldn't harm the consumers and they definitely wouldn't harm their cattle. I believe that ranchers and beef producers raise their cattle like their kids, and they wouldn't do anything to harm them. They're doing everything in the best interest of everybody.
Awesome. With that, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and hopefully now you can enjoy beef a little bit more. Thank you.